really doubt it, but. All right, guys, let's take a look. Looking at 101. Take out your packet. All right, guys. So looking at 101, I know earlier in the packet we have a similar question, the exterior angle theorem. I see two angles on the inside, and I see one angle on the outside. I know I add the two on the inside. This case, 38 plus 40, and it is equal to the one on the outside. The question mark, let me call it x. So the two on the inside, add the two angles on the inside, and equals the one on the outside. The unknown, or the x, sometimes is outside, sometimes is inside. But once again, the two that you add are the two on the inside. I think this you guys can finish. Like I said, I'm just working on the setup. You guys can finish it. Any questions up until 104? 103. All right, looking at 103, the two on the angles on the inside is x and 20. And I'm going to call that x. The angle on the outside is 40. So I'm going to go x plus 20 is equal to 40. You're welcome. Remember, you always add the two on the inside and equals the one on the outside. Any other questions up until 104? Lacey, are you okay? I'll take that as okay. You don't get. Let me make this picture bigger.
Oh, wait.
You're fine now? All right, now looking for 105. State if the two triangles are congruent. If they are, state how you know. And I know I showed you guys many rules. You guys should have them on your notes. But here, I told you guys the way we work this out, there's two of something. Two angles or two sides. What is it in this case? Two angles. So let's put 2x, right, for two angles. And then, is the side between the angles? No. If it was, I'll put the s in between it. But since it is not, I'm going to put right next to it. Angle, side, it is a rule. If it was between the angles, we'll be looking at those two sides, right? I'm just highlighting it just so for us to see that, yes, they're not in between the sides. I mean, the side is not between the angles. So this takes us up until 112. Any questions up until 112? 106? Okay. Looking at 106, there's only two markings. Legally, we cannot come up with a third marking, so I'm going to call this non-congruent. We need three. There is one rule that only has two letters, HL, hypotenuse leg, but that one still has three markings, right? It's an angle side, where the angle is 90 degrees. We call it HL, but it still has three markings.
So 109 would be HL.
Because technically you have that side, so you have two sides and the angle not in between. Remember, angle side with 90 degrees, yes, we call it HL. It has to be 90 degrees for it to be HL, yes. That's why angle side is not a rule, because what if the angle is not 90? All right, so this takes us up until 112. Any questions up until 112? 111? Okay, technically we can mark this angle because of vertical angle theorem. There's an X form, opposite angles are congruent. Now, is it two sides or two angles? Two angles. Is the side between the angles? No? So let me now put in between. Angle side is a rule. There were 5 that did work. The 5 that did work were side, side angle side, angle side angle, angle side, and HL. Those are the 5 that do work. Now those that don't work, are angle side side and angle angle angle. Those don't work.
So if it's angle, what's not congruent?
Angle 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 is not congruent. Yes.
Is there such thing as side side angle?
Side side angle is the same thing as angle side side because you can read it backwards. So the 5 on the left are the 5 that do work. The 2 on the right are those that do not work. Right. Any questions up until 112? Now, in 113, state what additional information is required in order to know that triangles are congruent for the reason given. I want this a side angle side. What this means is that from the 3 markings, I'm going to give you guys 2. I'm asking for which one am I missing, so which one is the third one. Like I said, from the 3 markings, I'll give you guys 2, and then you guys tell me which one am I missing. I want this to be side angle side. I see an angle marked. I'm just waiting for this thing to come back. It's processing. There it is. I can legally mark the side in between it. So you can see the 2 markings on each triangle. What am I missing? Another side. And it will be this side with this side, right?
Yeah.
So in order for us to write that, we're going to come and say FV is congruent to FE. The statement that I'm writing is the statement that I am missing. Right? From the 3 markings, you have 2. I'm asking which one should be the third one. So this takes us up until 116. Any questions? Yes. Is 116 okay? Okay, so I see that angle on each of them. I can legally mark that side in between them. I want this to be side angle side. So what am I missing? A side. In this case, it would be this side and this other side. So we're going to come and say AB is congruent to JB. Right? You guys saw it on the picture. I marked it and I even circled my mark to say that is what we were missing. Remember, I'm just asking you guys, what are we missing? 115, okay. Looking at 115, angle side angle. We can legally mark that side that they share it, so we already have our side. We have one angle on each. So if you notice, from the left triangle, this one, I will need this angle. From the other triangle, I will need this angle. So from the left one, let me call this angle YWX. Right? I didn't just call it W because you don't know which corner I mean. If I just say W, I don't specify which corner. So that's why I call it angle YWX is congruent to angle LXW. And I'm using 3 letters, so you guys, I'm specifying which corner do I mean. Right? Just angle X is not that specific. Right. Any questions up into 116? All right, 117. I think we saw the similar rule earlier in this packet. If I look at this angle and I look at this other angle, together they make the angle of a line, which is 180, right? Make half of a circle. So add everything. X plus 18 is equal to, X plus 18 plus 139 is equal to 180. Once again, X plus 18 plus 139 is equal to 180. And everything is 180 because it's the angle of a line. Once again, the rest, you guys can finish it. You guys notice I forgot to change the rules on the instructions. There's 2 of these on the final. Question 78 and 79. Anything up until 120? Now 121, find the interior angle sum for each polygon. Do keep in mind that we need to read the instructions. So find the interior angle sum for each polygon. Round your answer to the nearest tenth if necessary. Interior angle sum is the sum of the angles on the inside. Remember, for that we have a formula, n minus 2 times 180. Regular 15 gone, that means there's 15 sides. So for me to find out how much they all add up to, I'm going to go 13 times 180. Right, 13 because it's n minus 2. So notice 121 and 123, I give it to you guys in numbers, but 122 and 124, they have a word. Remember, heptagon is 7 angles. Hexagon is 6 of them. Like I said, sometimes you might see a number like 121, 123, but you might see a name like 122, 124. Now for 125, it says find the measure of one exterior angle. I know the angles on the outside, it's always 360, no matter how many there are. Because I'm asked how much is just one of them, let me divide by 21. I know 21 goes into 36 one time. When you subtract that, it's 15. 21 into 150 goes in 7 times. Subtract that is 3. We know how to do decimals. 21 into 30 is 1 time. 21 into 90 is 4 times. And we know we can continue. I said round it to the nearest tenth, which means 1 decimal place. I got 2 decimal places because I need to take a look at if the second one is big enough, which is not. So in that case, I'm going to call this 17.1. If my second decimal place was big, I would have called it 17.2. But I think I don't need to talk about rounding with you. But that's what I get, 2 decimal places. Like I said, it's longer, it continues, but I'm rounding it to the nearest tenth. If you guys forget your decimals, what does tenth means, hundredth means, all those? I know th at the end means decimal, but if you think of the word 10, there's 1 0, 1 decimal place. If I was to say 100, think the number 100, 2 zeros, talking about 2 decimal places. That should help you guys a little. This takes us up until numbered 128. Any questions up until 128? Yes. 126, okay. Once again, we're still dealing with one exterior angle, so I'm gonna go 360 divided by 10. Right? Decagon is 10. If it helps you, deca sounds like decade, 10 years. So decagon is 10. I think we can agree this is 36. When I ask you guys for one angle, that's when we divide. All right, any other questions? Now looking at 129, solve for x, let me add all my angles. In this case, 77 plus 110 plus 76 plus 20x minus 3. Like so I'm going to add all my angles. Now, since there's 4 angles, right, it's a figure that has 4 angles, how much of the angles should add up to? 360. Good. That way we come out with a 360. Remember the formula n minus 2 times 180. There's 4 of them. So that means if there were 5, this would have added to 540. N minus 2 times 180. Right, since there's 4, I'm going 2 times 180, 360. If I add this number, 77 plus 110 plus 76 minus 3, that's 260. So I have 260 plus 20x is equal to 360. The rest I'll let you guys finish. Right, so this takes us up until number 132. Any questions up until 132? All right, now looking at 133, solve for x. Each figure is a parallelogram. I know we're dealing with sides, so opposite sides are equal. So I'm just going to come and say 2x minus 5 is equal to 7. And the rest you guys can finish. Opposite sides are equal. But in parallelogram, I will also deal with the angles. If I give you guys one angle, let's say angle D was 60 degrees, you know angle F should also be 60 because opposite angles are congruent. And so you guys will be dealing with questions that have opposite angles. But if angle D is 60, I'm going to say angle E is 120. Because remember, adjacent angles have to add up to 180. Adjacent angles are those two angles that are connected by a side. So that means angle G is also 120. Okay, so you guys have angles as well. I see questions 134, 135 that have angles. So you guys are dealing with angles there. Yes. Like I said, I came in and said if I had started with 60, angle D, let's say if that was given, like I said, so I just came up with this number. If this was given, angle F is 60 because they're opposite. Angle E is 120 because they're adjacent. Right? When two in a parallelogram, two adjacent angles add up to 180. So any questions up until 138? Yes. 134? Now looking at 134, I'm dealing with angle R and angle F. I know those two are adjacent because they're connected by a side, so add everything. 2x plus 13 plus 13x plus 2, and it is equal to 180. Right? Two adjacent angles add up to 180. If they were opposite, like questions 135, I would let them equal each other. Right. Any questions up until 138? Now 139, state the most specific name for each figure. Those little two arrows means they're parallel. So only one pair of sides is parallel, the other one is not. How do we call that? You might need to rotate it to make it a little more familiar. What kind of figure is that? What is it? No, parallelogram is two sides are parallel and the other two are parallel as well. This is a trapezoid, yes. Remember, for trapezoids, only one pair is parallel, the other is not. So yeah, this is a trapezoid. Any questions up until 146? Alright, now looking at 147, let me put two pictures at once. I know when I covered complement and supplement, I did a little cross for you guys, and I said put them in alphabetical order. Complement comes before supplement, right, in alphabetical order. I know these two are dealing with 90s and 180s. Put them in numerical order, so 90 and then 180. What this means is complement are two angles that add up to 90. So two angles are complement if they add up to 90. Supplement means they add up to 180. So question 147, what is the complement of 60? 120. Because they have to add up to 180. Question 148 is, what is the complement of 60? 30. Number complement, they have to add up to 90. Earlier in one class, they came in and said, what's up, is complement the half of it? Not necessarily. Because if I change that to 80, the complement will be 10. Because they add up to 90. Because that is not necessarily half of it. Alright, now for constructions, I know I gave you guys a website when we were working on this. I gave you guys a website. It was mathopenref.com. And these things were called constructions. There are a few constructions that I want you guys to do take a look. Make sure you guys know how to do perpendicular segment and perpendicular bisector. Perpendicular segment, perpendicular bisector. Remember, perpendicular means 90 degrees. When there was a segment, I used to give you guys a line segment and a point outside. And you guys will cross it at 90 degrees. When it was a perpendicular bisector, I would just give you guys a segment and you guys have to cross it at 90 degrees in the middle. Remember when we used to come over and be like, oh, it goes more than half, and then connect it like that? That was perpendicular bisector. With a perpendicular bisector, I can give you guys a segment, and I can ask you guys for the midpoint. Because technically, that line goes through the middle, so you guys can easily find a midpoint. So make sure you guys know how to find a midpoint. Make sure you guys know how to cut an angle in half. So make sure you guys know how to do angle bisector. Make sure you guys know how to do the incenter. The incenter, remember we did a bigger circle inside the triangle. For that we did angle bisectors. We cut each angle in half, and then where two of those intersections met, that was the incenter. Also, make sure you know how to do an altitude. If you have a triangle, it's 90 degrees through the point, which kind of looks like this question. But a point outside, you can cross it at 90 degrees. Like I said, it looks like the first one. Make sure you guys know how to do median and centroid, which are questions that I have here. And I'm going to show you guys how to do those right now. But for median, let me skip to 153 first. For the median, from angle A, I will find on the opposite side, find the midpoint. And we know how to find the midpoint, right? Perpendicular bisector goes through the middle. So let's just say, just say it went there. But I'm not going to do it because remember, it was something like this. It goes through the middle. I'm freestyling it. So I know how to find this midpoint. The median, you connect that angle to that midpoint. So that will be the median from angle A. Then there's some questions that I asked you guys for centroid. I'm looking at 152. You have three sides, you have three angles. Do two medians. Remember, median is, there's this segment, find a point in the middle. Something like that. There's this segment, find a point in the middle. Right where these two intersect, that's your centroid. It said find two medians. You guys know how to find your midpoint. So I'm just referencing what you're supposed to do, but you guys can do it with your compasses. Any questions? For the final, I'm not going to ask you guys to bring your compass. What I'm going to do, like for example this one, I'll give you guys figures, like choices, and I will say which one am I doing for the centroid. And I'll give you guys figures, and you guys should know the constructions that you're supposed to do. Okay, I'm not going to ask you guys for the compasses. I'm just going to show you guys figures and ask you guys which one of this is going to give me the centroid. And like that. That's basically what I'm going to do.